Hey, it's Bobby G. Welcome back to Championship Golf Network. I'm here with Ethan Fang. Who is honored. We're honored to have him here with us today. We've been following you, Ethan, now for a bit, and we finally got to meet you in person last week at the Western, which we'll talk about in a minute. But thanks a lot for coming on today. Appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great. So we'd like to start out just a little bit about your background and kind of where you started out and how you took up golf, and who really inspired you at a young age. If we could start there, if that's okay.
Yeah. I was born in Plano. I've been here, all my life for 20 years, and my dad played a little bit of golf. When he moved over here after college, he joined a membership out at Stonebriar, and had a couple buddies, and he kind of got into it, and as I got a little older, 8 or 9 years old, he brought me out to the course, and I just started whacking some balls, or whatnot, and ever since he's I guess he tells me this all the time, but my first swing, I guess I hit one pretty good. So yeah, I mean, ever since I've just been golfing. It's been great.
So, you played obviously some IGGA in junior. When did you think that you wanted to pursue golf in college? When did that kind of hit you?
Yeah, I would say probably freshman year of high school. I started to play some Legends and NTPGA stuff, and I was doing pretty well, and I knew that was the career I wanted to have kind of around that time, and obviously college, you kind of hear about all that stuff as a junior, and like all the accomplishments there are in college to have, and it's been great.
Now, initially, you started out at UC Berkeley, and then you transferred. I know that could be a little easier now through the portal and everything, but what was going on that you obviously the reputation at both schools is great, but Oklahoma State, holds a record number of NCAA championships, which we'll talk about in a second. But what was initially what got you to UC Berkeley?
Yeah, coming out of high school my senior year, I was talking to OU, OSU, and Cal. But at first it was mainly just OU and OSU, and I got a good friend of mine, Eric Lee. He was committed to Cal at the time, and I think we met up for a tournament, and he asked me if I wanted coach's number, Walter Chun, at the time, and I was like, yeah, why not? And we started texting here and there, and the kind of sold me on the weather. California weather doesn't suck, and all those great golf courses we got to play up there in the Bay Area. But just at the end of the day, I mean, Cal was great, but I wanted to go somewhere where I could compete for a national championship, and I mean, OSU was one of those schools where they had a reputation of it.
That's great. And just before we move on, so after, besides your dad being a big influence, did you have any other golf coaches, or were you self-taught, or how'd you learn the game?
Yeah, after my dad got me into it, like 2-3 years down the road, I went to see Cameron McCormick over at Altus at Trinity Forest. I worked with him for a while, ever since kind of when I just started with him all the way up till my junior year of high school. And ever since then, I just kind of been doing my own thing, and it's been working out pretty well.
So you have this really cool disposition, not just now, but I don't know if it's the longer hair than you had when you were younger, but it's not. But you have this really on the course, watching you play. You never get too high, you never get too low. And is that something you had to learn, or have you always been that way ever since you were a little kid?
Yeah, that's kind of something that it's just part of me, just kind of how I go about things, and yeah, just I mean, I've gotten that a lot. I just kind of do my thing out there, play golf, and then at the end of the day, just whatever happens happens.
That's great. That's a great lesson for a lot of the younger viewers that watch, and we have this really awesome ability to attract some younger members who want to play college golf. And so when we get to do, an interview with someone like you at your caliber, I know that they really appreciate those comments. So, all right, before we go any further, obviously you gave a shout out to your dad.
Yeah.
I'm sure you want to thank your mom now, because if you don't, I'll probably get an email or text from her that I didn't mention her. So I'll let you go on and thank her for you.
Yeah. She's been great. She's not a big golfer, but she's been great off the course. Kind of supporting me throughout high school and college, and she's just great because she takes my mind off golf, and it's pretty funny. She doesn't really know much, and whenever she goes out and watch, she claps when everyone else claps, and she's just kind of out there having a good time.
Well, I don't know if you gamble at all, but I'm going to go out on a limb and venture to say I think the number 18 is pretty cool for you. Let me tell you why. First of all, you were the first American in 18 years. I don't know if you've seen that stat or not, to win the British Am. So, and when I was at the Western, curious as to kind of your ranking as like what are the biggest amateur tournaments in the world, and obviously the Western's up there and the British is up there, and next week you out to the USAM. And you've, how do you compare like the British Am to, maybe the Western or the USAM?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're obviously all top college event or amateur events. You want to play. But yeah, it's just it's different. I think, in my opinion, especially the amateur or the British amateur. Just playing links golf. Especially being born here and playing a lot of golf in the States. Just you don't really get much of that over here, and I thought it was just really cool to get over to England, and it's a different culture over there, and it was cool. We had a blast over there, and yeah, it's just the golf's just way different. Like the Western, it's pure Chicago golf, and obviously the USAM, they put them at great venues every year, especially at Olympic Club this year, which will be really cool. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I think I treat all of them the same. At the end of the day, it's just a tournament. You go into the week thinking you can win, and whatever happens, happens.
Great. Well, thank you. That's a good comparison. So my other reference to 18 was that the NCAA championship you won last year, that was the first time Oklahoma State had won the championship since 2018.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit of a drought, but I just kind of looking ahead at the schedule and having Preston on your team, the two of you're a pretty dynamic duo, and you got to be really excited about upcoming fall season.
Yeah, for sure. Our team played really well last year. We kind of connected late spring, and everything. Everyone started playing good at the same time. Which really helps going into the postseason. And I think we ended up winning 5 or 6 in a row to end off the season. So that was a really cool feeling. And obviously celebrating the natties with the team. You don't get that feeling often. You only get to do it 4 times, so it's pretty cool. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this upcoming season. Especially bringing in Henry. He's a heck of a player. And yeah, it's just going to be really cool to see what we can do and hopefully repeat.
Yeah, no, that would be awesome to repeat. I think that would just be phenomenal for the school, the team, and you guys individually as well. So obviously you got picked because of your fantastic summer to the Walker Cup team. And what are your thoughts about the Walker Cup team? And I know does it conflict at all with the school schedule at all, or you don't have any kind of tournaments lined up?
Yeah, no. So we actually, the Walker Cup's right after our first tournament of the year. We go over to Carmel Cup at Pebble Beach, and then it's right in that area. So me and Preston actually are just staying up there for a couple of days and then going down to Cypress. But yeah, it's really cool to be named on the Walker Cup team. That's something as a junior golfer you kind of look forward to. representing your country, playing for the flag, and to do it at Cypress just makes it even more special.
Yeah. Now, have you ever played there before? Or I know you get a chance to play practice around there, but are you familiar with
Yeah.
that at all?
Yeah. We when I was at Cal, we did a team trip up there, so that was really cool. And we played 18. Just one of the cooler courses I've played.
Now, are you one of the players that keeps a book every time he plays a course and puts notes in, or put them in your phone, or how do you do that, if at all?
Are you talking about like yardage books or
Yes.
stuff like that? Yeah.
Like personal notes, your sketches.
Yeah. I mean, when I'm just playing for fun, I'm just out there. I just try to go out there and make as many birdies as I can. But yeah, when tournaments come around, I don't put a lot of notes in my yardage book. I think I'm pretty basic with it. I just, write down the pin locations. Obviously, when you're playing your practice rounds, where not to miss or where to miss, to have the best chance at par. And yeah, other than that, it's just all in the head, I think, and it's all instincts from there.
Great. Now that's great insight. Again, I know our younger viewers appreciate that. I like to ask that question. So let's get a little technical now, if you don't mind sharing with us kind of what's in your bag currently.
Yeah. I play all Callaway clubs throughout the bag. I use the driver and 3-wood, or the elite driver, and the hybrid. I play 3 hybrid, and it's the Apex Pro, and all my irons are the CBs, the Apex CBs, and wedges are all Opus, and the putters the White Hot 1. I think it's just the regular blade.
Okay, great. And are you is that pretty much, have you tinkered with that over the years? I know you have a relationship with Callaway, but
Yeah.
are they coming to you out, to try new equipment and kind of
no, they've been great about that. I just kind of, I play whatever works best for me, and I've been pretty steady with the clubs, the last couple of years. Other than, my irons, I switched to the CBs actually right before nationals. We were at our regionals, and greens were firm, and I had the Apex MBs, the blades, and I couldn't get enough spin on some of those greens, and I was just bouncing them over the greens. So switched over to the CBs, got a little more height in the ball, and it's been good. But yeah, that's honestly the only thing I've changed in the last 2-3 years.
Yeah. So this is maybe a little harder question, but again, watching you play, I picked you up on 9 where you almost made that hole in 1 in the semifinals. That was such a great shot, by the way. That was a great hole. And that match was, you just looked like you were on autopilot.
Yeah.
Fairways, greens. It was just like you want, like boring golf, right? Didn't see ever really in any danger. Is reflecting on how you played there and runner up and then winning the British, is it possible to go back and like reflect upon winning the national championship? Was that did that do anything for your confidence or anything during that long championship, the NCAAs, where you think it helped you in terms of the success you're having this summer?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously ending off the school season with a win, especially with the team, it's a really good feeling, and I think that's just kind of gave all of us more confidence. Just knowing that you can do it, and and if you're playing your best, you're going to be hard to beat. And kind of like the amateur, I knew it was going to be a long week, and I played pretty good in stroke play, but I didn't play my best, and just did enough to barely make it through. And from there on, it was once you win 1 or 2 matches and you kind of get on a roll, and you're confident with every swing, and it kind of just propels you to the very end. And then kind of from there on, it's just 2 people battling out.
Right. So you actually had great weather in Chi-Town. It was really nice. What cool restaurants, if any, were you able to hit while you were in Chicago?
Yeah, we actually, we didn't, there weren't any really nice places, but we went downtown one night. Forgot the restaurant, but it was a pretty solid Italian place, and We had some pretty good pizza too, closer to the host house we were staying at, and not a big deep dish guy, so we just got the regular crust, and it
Yeah.
was pretty good.
Yeah, that's an acquired taste, and
Yeah.
and you can't eat more than a piece because otherwise you have to sleep it off for a day. What
Yeah.
so your coach, who I met last year at the GCA conference, you guys are at such a level right now, and you have so many great alumni that have turned pro that from the program. Do you get to interact with any of the younger pros or any other pros that
Yeah.
they're all rooting for you? But could you just share a little bit about the strength of the program, the alumni, and how there's some either some life guidance or some golf guidance or anything else that you lean on them as you continue to enhance your career?
Yeah, I think that's one thing that has really or that kind of makes Oklahoma State is just the alumni we have. Just constantly just having people surround you that want to help you, giving you help. Like Victor's always down at Karsten. We see him all the time. So I mean, just stuff like that. And then guys that just graduated a couple years ago, come back and play and practice. So it's kind of just like a big family, and we're all working towards the same goal. We all want to, obviously do the same thing when we're older. And yeah, it's great. You have people around you that that want to do the same thing as you, and you can kind of ask them for help here and there. I try not to bother most of them too much. They got busy things. But yeah, it's been good.
Is there any team, either in your conference or otherwise, golf team that you really love competing against, and you really have a little bit of a feeling in your stomach that you really want to whoop them? Is there any schools that you really like going up against?
Yeah. I say in our conferences, going up against Arizona State every tournament. Obviously they're a really good program. They have some really good players, and it's always good. You want to play against the best, and you want to beat the best. So yeah, I mean, definitely just anyone good in your conference or anyone in general. Just at the end of the day, you're trying to beat them, and it's just it makes it competitive.
Yep. Well, yeah, I know you're on the dean's list at school, so obviously you're a smart young man. Besides being an excellent golfer, for all the young viewers out there, and all that was also to let your parents know that you're actually really studying all the time, and
Yeah.
not just that was for their benefit. And so they hopefully will enjoy this interview as well. Obviously, your number 3 Wagger ranking. I mean, it seems like everything's going well. So obviously, you're going to finish your junior year, and then you're going to stay a 4th year at Oklahoma State?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of, I mean, when I got to college on staying for 4 years would be great. Just all the development you get during college, and especially now with PJ Tour U, and all the stuff the tour offers you, and it's kind of hard not to stay in 4 years too, and kind of enjoy your couple last years of college.
Yep, exactly. I read a quote from I think it was Golf Digest from Nick Dunlap. He said that, and I think he publicly has said this, is that you played college golf to learn how to win on the PGA Tour. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's just different. I mean, half our tournaments we play 36 whole days, and there's nothing like that on tour. But yeah, I think it definitely helps you prepare to win on tour, because I mean, it's those 36 whole days are long days. So I mean, if you can come up on top and battle through it and grind through it, and I think that's what the tour is all about. Just battling every week and trying to do your best.
Great. Well, and then a couple last questions. So you're affiliated with, you're sponsored by Callaway and Nike.
Mhm.
How, and how's it working with those two great brands?
Yeah, it's been great. Callaway, they've been great to me, and I've been with them for close to 8 years now. So
Wow.
I've been with them for a while, and we got to get really close, and got some great connections with them. And Nike, I kind of switched to them last summer, I think. So I'm I'm still fairly new with them, but they've been great. You know, Travis, I've been, you know, my rep, he's been great. You know, always, you know, responding on time, doing everything on time, and you know, it's just been great to have, you know, people around you.
And what are the brands for Oklahoma State? What are
Yeah, we're a Ping and Titleist school,
okay?
and we do and Nike too. So
And okay, so you don't get in trouble with Nike then. So
yeah,
you're cool with that?
yeah.
All right, good. I'm sure you had that covered, knowing you. Well, Ethan, you know, it really was an honor, even though, you know, we met briefly at the Western, and I asked Matthew to try and connect this up, and you were so generous and nice about it. And you know, we look forward to covering you a lot next year. And we had last semester, I think we had over 25 interviews. So, you know, we'll be following you. We'll be pulling for you, and just want to thank you again for your time today and your, you know, your ability to share some wisdom. And we also, by the way, we love working with Ryan Cameron, your SID. He's
Okay, yeah.
Wanted to plug him as well. We really enjoy and appreciate our relationship we have with Oklahoma State. So I know that will continue. But thanks again. Good luck the rest of the summer. We'll be pulling for you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.